Welcome on to the Tortillas and Takes podcast. You are on once again with your boy, Albie Shore, and I got my right hand man, the People's Champ, Jeremy Gillen with me, and we were already starting the preview pod before this podcast even started. We were like good 20 minutes into talking about this Utah Tech game, and then we're like, we probably should press the record button and actually have this live in this conversation. And I think that goes to show how excited both we are as well as the fan base is for this big game in Salt Lake City against the Utah Utes. Jeremy, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Jeremy. The People's Champ. No, Albert's right. This has been – I did not have this – we were planning originally to go to this game, and for a number of reasons, now that feel very justified, not going to Salt Lake City is a fine choice. But this was a game that we marked as like, you know what, going to be a tough game. Yeah, there's a chance that we can lose this, but we really should, we should compete. It should be a pretty good game. But nothing, we were like, this was not the game we were looking forward to as like, this is the make or break. After this week of just dump trash talking and all of the conversation with Utah, I mean, every major sports outlet has talked about Texas Tech Utah. Every major media company has got a Texas Tech Utah preview. Like everybody is talking about how it may be the first of two meetings between Texas Tech and Utah, the second being in Arlington. Hey, like this is for the Big 12 generational talent with like defensive line against offensive line. You've got to be watching David Bailey. You've got to be watching Luan. You've got to be watching these guys because like this is NFL talent against NFL talent. And then all of that just constantly pouring down on me all week from the moment I wake up and look at Twitter, the moment I go to sleep, look at Twitter, go to sleep. I have not been more excited about a football game in a while, right? Like, hey, yeah, football, great. We're going to play Texas, like Texas Tech playing, that's awesome. But this game, I am pretty palpably excited about this one.
I mean, yeah, it's a big game. It's a big noon kickoff, right? So Fox decided this was the game of the week. ESPN were idiots about it, going to freaking Florida at Miami, which is not even a top 5 game of the week. Like it's such a bad decision by ESPN. I'm not actually, you know what's funny about that? I'm not even sitting here acting like I expected ESPN to pick Texas Tech Utah. I didn't. Right. So I'm not even going to sit back and be like, oh, y'all are idiots for not picking Texas Tech Utah. I think they're idiots because there are like 3 other games that would have made sense too. Right. Even if they wanted to be like an SEC bias team, program like they always are, 22nd ranked Auburn is going to 11th ranked Oklahoma with the current Heisman favorite in John Mateer. All right. Indiana, I know, and old College Game Day would have went to Illinois at Indiana. Like they used to love and embrace sites they hadn't been to before. And so that would have absolutely been the pick in yesteryear. A decade ago would have been Illinois, 9th ranked Illinois at 19th ranked Indiana, a game that they almost never go to. That would have been right up their alley. That's just not how game day works or operates anymore. It's unfortunate, but that's just the case. Like those two, and then of course Texas Tech Utah are like the 3 biggest games of the week this week. And so the fact that they decided instead to go to what's likely going to be a big blowout because Florida's not any good is a travesty, but it is what it is. I will say that, and actually they could have even went to the Civil War, right? Well, yeah, actually, they could have went to the Civil War, but talk about blowouts. Goodness gracious, Oregon's gonna kill them. Oregon's gonna massacre them. But anyways, either way, like you said, Texas Tech Utah being like the creme de la creme, top spot, 2 Big 12 favorites. Really great to see. I will say one thing that's been interesting is the rise of Utah respectability. So not necessarily the rise of Utah, the program, but if you remember, the season ended last year. Utah was a big embarrassment. Everybody pointed and said, ha ha, you stink, right? And it was almost like, ha ha, you stink and you're going to stink forever. And then how you think you're going to stay forever. And then all of a sudden, they went to the offseason, and it was almost known. Everybody was kind of in their too early predictions was like, oh, well, Utah's probably just going to stink again, right? But then something, and I talked about it quite a bit, and I think we both talked about it quite a bit, something beautiful happened to the Utah Utes. And that beautiful thing that happened is that their starting quarterback, who had been there for virtually ever, Cam Rising, decided to retire. We don't get a lot of college retirements. He still had technically a year of eligibility, and he decided to retire. And it was the best thing that could have happened to Utah because Utah was able to say, okay, well, we really need to improve. They went out and got an unsung hero from New Mexico. A lot of people recognize Devin Dampier's ability in New Mexico, but it's not like he put up stellar stats. We talked about a pre-pod. He had 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, for the Wolfpack. And wasn't anything exciting, but you could see the talent. If you watched New Mexico games last year, and if you did, I watched a few. God bless us all. But you could see the talent from Devin Dampier at New Mexico, even with his numbers not looking great. So they brought him on and allowed a full offseason with him. And then also, it almost reminded all of us that it's interesting because it took an offseason for us to remember, well, there was a reason why we had Utah as the Big 12 favorite a year ago to begin with. They are a pretty talented team, aren't they? But, we'll see. Remember, when the schedule comes out, I think a lot of Tech fans are like, oh, at Utah should be a win. They stopped last year. If you remember, you and I talked about it a little bit. I'm like, that Utah game, I don't know. I don't know about that game. That actually may be a little bit tricky. We'll see. And then as the year started, all of a sudden, Utah was a very popular dark horse pick. All of a sudden. And then they put that beat down on UCLA. And I think everybody recognized that UCLA is not a good program or a good team. I mean, even at the time, I think people looked at Nico and said, oh, well, maybe Nico will make them look like something. They don't. He already got the coach fired after 3 games. But I think a lot of people put respect on Utah saying, hey, you still went on the road. You still went out to California. You still beat another power conference team by 33. Still respectable. And just like that, they went from an unranked team that barely got any votes to ranked in literally 1 week off of a shellacking of UCLA. And so because people saw not just the talent that we saw from a year ago, but also we saw that, that Devin Dampier kid's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people tend to forget that, yes, you ended up going 2-7 or whatever in the Big 12, but despite an anemic offensive side of the ball, their defense still posted almost top 20 in the nation. It's like they were still a tremendous defense. And that's really what Utah has built a large brand around is, and I didn't realize this until I looked it up. Utah is basically pick 6 U. I mean, they're going on 13 seasons, even more, of having a pick 6. Which is wild. Like this is a team that has a lot of pieces that they had last year, most notably being their offensive line, and something we'll talk about. But like this was never a team that we should have shrugged off because they had a bad first showing in the Big 12. Yes, their fans had to eat crow all like the whole year. It was great and they deserved it. But as a team in Coach Winningham, like this is a storied Utah team. Like this is not a team to go, man, I don't know who Utah is. Who gives a crap? Pac-12. Who were they before that? Don't know. Don't care. It's like, no, Utah has built a very strong program that has commanded a lot of respect. And that's shown up in a number of ways. Most notably, they go out and beat up Cal Poly or whatever, 63-3. And then suddenly they go they skip us in the top 25 or whatever. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, we just beat our team 60, whatever to, nothing. And it's like, or 10 is like, well, Utah's more recognizable brand, so that's good. They're going to make that jump. So, that's just an illustration that, Utah, while they did have a down year, the down year was really about Cam Rising and them fumbling to have any kind of offensive identity. It was not about Utah as an entire program being desolate. It's just about one fluke, and Cam Rising retiring was the best thing that's ever happened to Utah football, which makes them a really dangerous force this year.
Yeah, so a little bit about Utah. It used to be our first time playing them in quite a while. And if you would have told me 20 years ago that Utah is a bigger brand than Texas Tech, I'd have laughed at you. I'd have been like, hell no, right? But about 20 years ago, if you remember, Urban Meyer was their head coach.
That's right.
This is Urban Meyer. 2 things happened during that 03 and 04 season. Urban Meyer jumped on the scene and was like, I'm that guy. I'm really good at what I do. I'm the man, right? Led by both Urban Meyer and Alex Smith. And they led Utah to an undefeated 12-0 record, right? fourth in the country, all that jazz. When Urban Meyer left for Florida, that was supposed to kind of be the death knell for Utah. It was supposed to be like, all right, y'all go back to being same old average Mountain West Conference team, Utah. Then comes Kyle Whittingham, who was the defensive coordinator during the Urban Meyer tenure, who doesn't go with Urban Meyer to Florida. He ends up staying on. They hire him as the head coach. Kyle Whittingham is Utah's Gary Patterson.
Yep.
Kyle Whittingham kept the good times rolling, right? They had that Sugar Bowl win with Brian Johnson, where he was the cover of NCAA, and they just kept winning. They kept going to BCS bowl games. They kept being this top team. So when Pac-12, if you remember at the time, I wanted Texas Tech to go to the Pac-10, but when the Pac-10 was like, hey, Texas Tech, A&M, Oklahoma State, we are already going to bring Colorado. We want all 5 of you to come. If you remember, we rebuffed it. We're like, we don't want to go. All right. A year later happens. A&M says we're skedaddling to the SEC. Missouri says we're also skedaddling to the SEC, and Colorado's already left for the Pac-10. Pac-10 comes back and says, hey, Big 12, hey, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, we will still take the 4 of you to the Pac-12. If you want to leave, we got Colorado, and because you already said no to us before, we got Utah. And we still said no, just for Texas and Oklahoma to spurn us, 12 years later. And so that's really where it was. They were similar to the Big 12 adding the UCF, the freshman 4, UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, BYU. Pac-10 at the time said, hey, there's this huge brand in Utah. They're the best program of the smaller conferences in the country. They geographically fit with us, and they culturally fit with us. Let's bring them in. And the crazy thing about Utah joining the Pac-12 is they went from, hey, let's bring them in, to being one of the top programs in all of the Pac-12 pretty quickly, too. Right? Their first year, they had 8 wins. Second and third year, they failed to make a bowl game, and they never got less than 9 wins for a decade. In the Pac, consistently, they became the perennial team to beat in the Pac-12, a conference with Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. Here comes little old Utah from the Mountain West, and in a decade, they became that team to beat. Very impressive. Extremely impressive by Kyle Whittingham. And I do think, as bad as last year was for this Utah team, and I was thinking about this in the offseason already, of like, man, Kyle Whittingham's still that dude. This is still a program that invests in their players. I don't think this is going to be something where Utah comes into the big bad Big 12 and all of a sudden they just are trashed forever. All right? They'll adjust, and it seems like in just one offseason they already have.
Well, I mean, yeah. Let's break it down, because there's so much to talk about when it comes to this Utah team, and I think a big piece of that is how Utah is adjusting, and this is probably where the biggest change for Utah is happening. Is that Utah is coming from the Pac-12, where their domination came from running the ball a ton and having really good defense, because their offense just generally sucked. In terms of rankings, the best year was in 2021. They were ranked 17th at the end of the year, and that was great, right? But it's generally pretty low, because what they like to do is to run it, slow down the clock, so that their defense can continue to wear it, continue to get them the ball back. And they like to, as much time as they can take, they want that. If they can have 40 minutes of the game, time of possession, that's what they get, and they wear you down, right? But switching into the Big 12, especially last year when they didn't have the offensive kind of commander in Cam Rising, Big 12 don't play. Big 12's hey, I'm going to chunk it down right over top of you, buddy. I'm just going to keep chunking it over you. And you know what? If it ain't working, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to chunk it right over you. And eventually that breaks down, and they end up losing as many games as they do. And so it's an adjustment going from a defeated Pac-12 conference where they dominated in that way, and you built that identity of okay, we know how to win. And that's how Utah fans accepted it, because it was the reality. Coming to the Big 12 now, it's We are a good team, I promise you. We're a good team. We are a good team. I know we're a good team. But the record so far is like, man, you haven't really proved that. So they're trying to find this like medium of like, hey, we're a good team and we've got good players. How do we now establish that in a new conference in the Big 12, which is vastly different than the Pac-12, both really in like kind of crowd participation as well as, and most importantly, in the play style, right? The play style, even though Big 12 has gotten a lot better, especially at defense. So we've seen some really cool graphics lately about that. But like obviously very high. The offenses are still just as fast.
So let's talk about it a little bit. So we were talking a lot about Devin Dampier and the Mighty Mouse. Aw, cute little guy. But, Devin Dampier is, like I said, he's a new quarterback, came from New Mexico, very athletic, strong zip on his throws. But we've talked about Texas Tech's inability sometimes to defend a mobile quarterback, and this is probably him and Jalen Daniels are the two most mobile quarterbacks in the entire conference. So tell us a little bit about the ability of Devin Dampier and how Tech can stop him or slow him down.
Yeah, so Devin Dampier obviously coming from Mountain West, right? They're in the Mountain West?
Yes.
Coming over from the Mountain West, being a dominating quarterback in that conference. But, you think like, oh, Mountain West, that's garbage. But he had he showed a lot of tremendous game against teams like Auburn too, SEC. So you can't argue like this he's never played anybody. He's played really well against good teams, good brand name teams. Devin Dampier follows over his what is it? Jason Beck. Jason Beck led New Mexico's run-heavy, offense. A lot of motion, a lot of misdirection. They finished 254 rushing yards a game, over 6 yards a carry, so it was good enough for first in the nation. Devin Dampier was the integral piece of that. And him following Jason Beck to Utah was no small thing. For a quarterback who is built into this kind of like dual threat capability, a quarterback who is undersized especially, but has that ability to get out and run. Following Jason Beck to Utah, huge win for the Utes, because now Jason Beck gets to form the Utah offense, one that was already, again, predicated on we're going to run the ball until we wear you out and maybe we'll pass a few times, to now a team where like, hey, Dampier, he's going to be the running force, and he is one of their main running back as well, along with Wayshawn. But like Devin Dampier has an arm, and he has an ability to throw to guys downfield. And now that he's not at New Mexico, he gets to throw to actual receivers who have an ability to catch and go. And it's like not, the good thing about this is it wasn't a bunch of Utah Utes pulling over. In fact, the only person that they had that came over again was Dadrian Zipperer. But they brought in a bunch of new guys. They brought in Larry Simmons from Southern Miss. They brought in Tobias Merriweather from Cal. They brought in Creed Whittemore from Mississippi State. So in the same way that Texas Tech, has a bunch of new guys that are learning how to do this whole new scheme together, but nobody's like dragging their feet because like this isn't how we do it here. Devin Dampier is coming in brand new offensive scheme, brand new offensive players. So they're all learning it at the same time, and they're all getting kind of benefit of, hey, Devin Dampier is my QB1 at this school. And like that, he's going to be our dude. And that's built of go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so you bring up a great point. And I've been hearing this from Utah fans recently about, the common insult for Tech is, we just buy a bunch of players. Utah, every one of your skill position players are from somewhere else.
That's right.
You mentioned a couple of the guys. What about also Wayshawn Parker that we saw last year at Washington State? You already kind of mentioned Tobias Merriweather, Nakari Rogers, who also was at New Mexico last year. Y'all have so many, like the entire skill position is all brand new. They were like, all of them sucked last year. We need nothing but new guys. And they replaced it. They did. Ain't nobody mad at that. One thing I will give Utah credit for, one thing they did not replace is that O-line. That O-line is some big Utes. All right. These guys have been in the trenches before, together. And I do think that is one strength that Utah has, definitely over Texas Tech and over most teams in the country, which is our O-line have been here. They've been together for years.
Yeah.
They have known each other on this O-line. 3 starters are redshirt seniors, and one's a junior, and one's a redshirt sophomore. So that means these 5 guys have known each other for at least, they're coming in their 3rd year together, 3 of them in their 5th year together, right? Yeah. So they know each other well. And and it's not just those 5 guys, they have depth, right? Even their backups, there's 2 redshirt seniors that have been here, right? Mm-hmm. So, that is a huge win, and that continuity in the O-line is very important. It's one of the reasons why I think they're one of the best O-lines in the country.
Yeah, no doubt. 74 starts between the starting line is incredible. And to play in a line that is very run-focused, right? Very, very technical, very hey, we have to trust each other. We're gonna open the gaps that we need to open for our guys. This is a team that has dominated the run game in the Pac-12, the longevity that they've been there when they took over, right? But you've got Tanoa, I've been working hard on this one, and I'm still going to ruin it, but Tanoa Togiai, how do we say that,
Sure.
Hey, Togiai, looks good enough for me. Tanoa, if I'm wrong, I'll buy you a beer. Jaron Cup, Michael Makovsky, right? Caleb Lomu is really obviously a big name they're going to be looking for, along with Spencer Fano. Is that dude, right? This is his all-American attention, potential first rounder. Dude, Utah's O-line is no joke. And I think that one of the most important pieces of Dampier's success, because he is undersized, is his O-line gives him time, right? His O-line gives him time to move around. If you watch, Dampier is not a drop-back quarterback. He will obviously drop back as the formation calls, but as soon as he's back there, he starts to move. Because he can't see over his own line. So he starts to move around trying to find the open guys, right? And I think that that's very important. What he didn't have in New Mexico was time. And the time to find an open guy, the time to decide, do I just want to go ahead and run this or not? He's got a lot more time. And we've talked about this, man. Time is a make or break with quarterbacks. You have a bunch of average quarterbacks in the SEC who have a bunch of time, right? And you have a lot of really good quarterbacks in the Big 12 who do not have a bunch of time. And so, Baron Morton now kind of experiencing what it's like to have a little bit more time in the pocket. Now we can kind of figure out what reads are and go through them. Utah is the pinnacle for offensive line pedigree in the Big 12. Yeah. They had it last year, didn't have a quarterback to help out, but they got a quarterback this year. It's a dangerous team. It is a dangerous team.
I think obviously the battle in this game is going to be Utah's O-line versus Texas Tech's D-line. I think an even stingier battle is Utah's interior line versus Texas Tech's interior D-line, right? Yeah. It is Skylar Gill-Howard and Lee Hunter, right, versus their interior line that you just kind of mentioned there of Tagai, Kump, and Mokofisi. That battle going to be huge. That is going to be very big. I think Gill-Howard and Hunter have absolutely just caught everything by storm. That tandem is going to be the most impressive piece of the entire defense, if you ask me, to start the first 3 games. And so seeing that against Utah's starting O-line, interior line, that's where it is. When mobile quarterbacks, the best, if you really want to stop a mobile quarterback, hit him up the middle. Right? Hit them up the middle, force them outside. That's when they start backtracking. That's when they start backpedaling. That's when you can kind of really get them out their groove. And not just mobile quarterbacks, any quarterback, right? And that's where life has been hell for the first 3 teams we've played, is the fact that we were able to do that. And real quick, we were talking about the fact that the whole mobile quarterback and can we handle it and this, that, and the other. One thing we got to kind of remind ourselves a little bit is we played 3 mobile quarterbacks already. This is the 4th. Right, this is the 4th starting mobile quarterback we've played. All 3 first teams had mobile quarterbacks, and we just stopped them. Actually, Malik Murphy was probably the least mobile of the quarterbacks, but we still stopped him.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I do think that the level of talent, obviously, and this is the disclaimer that let's just say it now. Utah hasn't played anybody. Texas Tech hasn't played anybody. We both have played power teams that are recognizable, but both are butt cheeks. So all of this is said within that lens. But I do agree. I think that, something that while Utah has this giganimous offensive line and the power that comes behind that, Texas Tech spent a lot of money to have an NFL like power level like defensive line, and they have proven that. Skylar Howard, David Bailey, and Romello Height are three of the most. They have the highest like quarterback pressures. They're within like the top 10, top 12, something like that. I don't remember where David Bailey is, but like in the nation. And yeah, we've played three nobodies, but like,
I think David Bailey's number one. Actually,
that is correct. Yeah. So it's like, it's like, yes, I recognize you have a good offensive line. You also have not played a triage of people like this. These are people who on their own teams were the cream of the crop. And we took the best that we could find of each of those teams and brought them together and said, you guys are now one elite kill squad.
Go crazy.
Go crazy. And they have, right? You've got I can't remember who was it that batted up the ball for Skylar Howard, but you've got defensive linemen batting up the bat.
I'm pretty sure it was Height. Yeah, Romello Height, I'm pretty sure.
Romello's batting down balls, so Skylar Howard take it to the house. That is insane level commentary. That is electric from a defensive line to have a level of like awareness and athleticism. These guys are playing at a level that is so fun. I mean, and this is not really an indicator, but I think there is something to be said about this. On the defensive side of the ball, when those guys get in the backfield and they make a big play, I mean, they're all slapping the ground. They're all having this big dog moment. We haven't really had that. I mean, you know, we've had good plays in the backfield, but people aren't really hyped up about it. Like, you know, one guy's celebrating by himself. Now you've got this whole monstrous the monstars over here, like having an incredible moment with each other. Dude, that's dangerous. You cannot have a defensive line that athletic and that like mobile getting each other hype. And I've heard this on a number of different podcasts now, and I've listened to too many at this point. But where Utah does not want to be is down in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. Because if you're down in the third quarter and you're pushing these obvious passing scenarios, and you've got guys like Romello Height, David Bailey, Lee Hunter, who we just Skylar Howard,
Ben Roberts,
Jacob Rodriguez, these guys, blood in the water,
AJ Holmes.
You have entered the octagon, and you will be fighting for your life. Like that is the last place that Utah wants to be. Yeah. So it's like, you know, while they have a tremendous offensive line, the offensive line only does so much. So if the game gets to that point, advantage defensive line. So it's like there is so much that's going to play out within the first two quarters of this game, and it's all going to come down to that, like the front seven.
So some of their other skill guys, we mentioned them a little bit, but just kind of throw some stats here. So of course, Devin Dampier, 60 on the season, has thrown for 628 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions yet. Has also ran for 198 yards. So that's something to watch out for. Is that Dampier's are not just their leading passer, but also the leading rusher as of right now. Receiving wise, their number one receiver who's caught 19 passes for 171 yards is wide receiver alert, Ryan Davis. So a good spot there, as well as Tobias Merriweather, who we talked about, the transfer from Cal. And also tight end alert, Dallin Bentley. Dallin Bentley right now, also their second leading receiver. He's another guy who's been at Utah for a little bit, which is no surprise because, you know, tight ends have to block too. So the rule is we can get these pass-catching guys from elsewhere, but if you don't block, we need you eating this Utah food out here and going to Latter-day Saint Church Mass on Sundays. And so he had 11 catches for 112 yards for Bentley as well. I am leaving out one person. I want to have a conversation with that person. We're good friends now. So Wayshawn Parker, who has 61 yards on the season, most of that from a very long catch that he ran a screen for 52 yards to the house. He also on the season has 27 rushes for 192 yards, averaging 7 yards a carry. Right, a lot of long rushes. He even had a big breakout. We went for 43 yards in this. The name may sound familiar because, well, Wayshawn Parker beat the hell out of us last year when he played for Washington State. He was instrumental in beating Texas Tech in Pullman, Washington last year. And that same Wayshawn Parker is feeling himself. He ain't worried about no Texas Tech. And he let us know that he's not worried about Texas Tech because one of the Utah fans ended up tweeting and saying, this is what Wayshawn Parker did at Texas Tech last year. and he gonna do it again. You know what Wayshawn Parker said? He said, and that was Washington. This ain't Washington State. Go Utes. So obviously, as Tech fans, it's only right. It's our responsibility to be like, oh, hey, hey guys, hey coach, Wayshawn Parker don't respect you. Just want to let you know. I mean, he wants to let you know. He put it out on social media. It's a public forum. He wants to let you know that he don't respect you. So, hey, do with his tweet as you will. So Wayshawn Parker then, I'm sure somebody said, hey, man, probably shouldn't do that. Let's go ahead and delete that tweet. But Wayshawn Parker says, I'm going to delete the tweet. I'm still feeling myself. Hey, guys, go ahead and tell whoever you want. It don't matter. Don't matter. So Wayshawn Parker obviously is not scared about coming into Lubbock. He's like, I beat them last year. And I'm sure, let me tell you something. If he's willing to time out, I feel like I sounded like Charles Barkley just there.
Go ahead. No, it's great. Let me tell you something.
Get it. For Wayshawn Parker to go ahead and tweet it, he's probably sitting back in his dorm room, or maybe even in the Utah locker room. It's a nice locker room. I've seen it on
two-bed, one bath in Salt Lake City. Who knows?
Or who knows? And so kicking his feet up, tweeting. If he's tweeting it, he's also in the locker room being like, "Hey man, I ain't gotta worry. I played this team last year. They stink. We beat the hell out of them, and that was Washington State. Y'all already know we're better than them, right? If he's tweeting it, he's saying it. I'm just saying that is his mindset of I'm gonna beat them this year, just like I beat them last year. Don't even worry. The difference that Wayshawn Parker needs to understand, just like it's a new situation for him, it's an entirely new situation for this defense. All right, all 4 D linemen are new, buddy boy. Half the secondary is new, right? And so, and let me tell you something. Maybe you're still thinking about them 2 linebackers, Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts, but these ain't the same Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts that you saw at the beginning of last year.
No.
So, all right, come in with the same attitude. You can get your ass whipped.
You can get your ass whipped. And let's not forget that while Wayshawn Parker was a piece of that game, he was only that.
Let me tell you something. Right? We're not going up against John Mateer again. Thank goodness.
John Mateer was the only reason they won that game, buddy. He rushed for damn near 200 yards himself. Yeah, he didn't need Wayshawn. So he was told to pass the ball off periodically. Fine. I'll give it whatever.
Yeah, I'll say this. I've gained a lot of respect for Devin Dampier. I respect Devin Dampier no matter what happens in this game. He ain't no John Mateer. That's what I do know.
No, he is not John Mateer.
Yeah,
my favorite John Mateer over at Oklahoma. No,
he is not. He's not that. So switching gears a little bit. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No. Number one, he's over 6 foot. So let's. We'll
that's
he can see over the line. Next.
That's right. So switching gears a little bit, looking at the defense. So the defense for the Utah Utes. Now, a lot of people have been talking about what we just talked about. We talked about the Wayshawn Parker connection, the fact that he played with us last year, Devin Dampier, and how he's looked. And he's also, actually, we're talking about John Mateer as a Heisman favorite. Devin Dampier's name has come up in Heisman conversations too, so far. The fact that everybody's talked about how great this O-line is. What's funny, though, how great the O-line is and how much improved Texas Tech's defense is and all this stuff. What's funny, though, is what usually would be talked about in this game would usually be Texas Tech's offense versus Utah's defense. Utah being more known for defense and historically, Texas Tech being more known for offense historically. And yet not a lot of people are looking at either side as much. Outside of Baron Morton's Fox interview, there just hasn't been much attention to that side of the ball. So as we look and think about Utah's defense, what are some guys that stand out to you?
Yeah, no doubt. I think a big piece of this defense revolves around and very obvious, very archetype defense, but like Lander Barton for linebacker is the voice of this Utah defense. Somebody that a lot of Utah outlets have praised is like the piece, like the Utah, I can't remember what they call it, but like he is following a long line of like strong voiced linebackers at Utah, and that totally makes sense, right? But the real big surprise this season for Utah has been John Henry Daly. Henry Daly apparently had a really good spring camp. Not really a huge name coming into this season, right? Last season, he got like 4 tackles total. Didn't play too much. And then this season, he's already got 5 sacks, right? 13 total tackles. Right. So, and one pass, like one forced fumble, one pass deflection. Like John Henry Daly has taken such a huge step forward for this team from going like, yeah, it's pretty good in spring ball, so you should be pretty good this season, to, 3 games in, he's got 5 sacks. He's in the backfield. Like, that's exactly where he wants to be. Very fast off the edge. Love to see the athleticism in these guys, and just been a huge surprise, right? And so they've got, some more veteran guys in Jackson Benet, and like Elijah Davis, and it's like, what's that?
No, I was going to say Jackson Benet is actually a pretty interesting player because he has been kind of their gadget nickel corner, backup safety in a way, but he's been pretty annoying for them in that you're not really looking for him, you don't think anything of it, and then boom, he has an interception and he runs back to the house. Right. And so Benet is somebody that's not really going to stick out on the radar much. He's not even going to really stick out on, or he's not going to stick on the radar much, but he does stick out on tape.
Yeah.
On tape, you see him. On tape, he shows up. He's not physically imposing. You don't think anything of him, but you need to.
Yeah. So I think that there's just a bunch of in that front 7 again between the defensive line. And again, a lot of the defensive line is really held on by Daly, but they do have other people that you can look towards. Logan Fano and Pupusa Polona. But really what the question mark and like the interesting piece comes at, that I think people like Morton are going to be looking to exploit, is the secondary, right? Last year, the secondary held the opponents to 52% completion rate. Right? That's number 2 nationally. Like that's very good, right? A team that is very good at first of all, man on man, but they've switched in a zone a number of times and been very effective. They've lost, of course, Zamiah Vaughn and Cameron Calhoun transferred to Alabama. Zamiah Vaughn graduated. Cameron Calhoun transfers out to Alabama, but they have like Smith Snowden back at the nickel. They've got Tao Johnson over at free safety. Elijah Davis has one of the corner spots knocked down. And now really looking at, the transfers they have from UC Davis and Blake Cotton, as well as Donovan Saunders from Texas A&M, semi-recognizable name. This coverage team is newer, but still dangerous. I mean, tall, athletic, like they're going to try to challenge your guys. But what Utah is really trying to do with their defense is push down to a side, like push you towards the people they want you to throw towards. And that can look a number of different ways. That they're trying to line man-to-man on one side and move to a zone to the other side where it's like, oh, nobody's on my left receiver, who may not be my better receiver, but he looks open, so I got to go that way. But then, like you said, you got people that are just crashing down so quick on the ball and getting these pick sixes. They're creating pass deflections. Like Utah's defense is very good at creating kind of misdirection and forcing teams to go where you want to go where they want to go, right? Last year, they didn't have the offense that they needed to be good in the Big 12, but the defense was stable because what they can do is that they have a lot of stamina for the whole game, and they have a lot of good coaching with Coach Scaly, who is one of the better defensive coordinators in the nation, has kept Utah in the conversation of top 20 defenses since, I don't know, 2015, 2016, whenever he arrived on the scene and took over a depleted team from Mark Peace or whatever his name was, Coach Peace. Scaly's a really good dude. And we got Shield Wood, year 1 of Shield Wood. Scaly's been doing this for damn near 10 years, right? And he's been doing it consistently. So this is the Utah defense is what gives me pause. Yeah, the offensive line is credible, but for me, it's Utah's defense.
Right now, 3rd in the conference in rushing defense. And unlike Texas Tech 2nd in the conference in rushing defense, but unlike Texas Tech, that's consistent from last year. You brought up earlier in the pod how UCF is Utah, the defense wasn't because of like them losing wasn't because of the defense. And you're right. I mean, it's actually pretty incredible if you look at them. A team that was last year second in the conference in fewest rushing touchdowns given up, while also being second in the conference in forced fumbles. Pretty amazing. That has a lot to do with the front seven that you were talking about.
Would have loved to see Taj Brooks against that defense, just for the sake of it, you know?
Well, I do think, flip side, though, their rush defense is going to be great. I do think one thing that helps Tech is that we don't just hit you in one way, right? I think it's the benefit of, obviously, Taj Brooks is the best running back we've all ever seen and put on a Texas Tech uniform.
That's right.
But the benefit where we shift this year is now we don't just hit you one way. Now it ain't just battering you, getting with the Taj battering ram. It is you could have the Cam Dickey, who's both in between the tackles, and I hopefully see more of number 8, right? More of those little shifty moves. But then you also have Jacoby Williams, who's like a gadget A back, right? And so like we can hit you in multitudes of ways when it comes to the running game. And so to see if Utah's D-line can still buck up a little bit there. So with all that being said, Mr. Gillen, give me defensively your player of the game not defensively, offensively for the Texas Tech offense. Give me your player of the game, the guy who needs to step up in order for Texas Tech to get this victory.
Well, let me say one more thing about their defense, and then I'll get into this. That the biggest concern, I think, consistently across kind of Utah outlets and across professional outlets is like for the Utah defense is just how many weapons Texas Tech does have, right? It's not just like, hey, you got your starters. It's like, I mean, Texas Tech is deep in so many skill positions on the offensive side. All of them are really good. And so it's like you've got Cowboy Coy Eakin, who on most days, anybody looking at the depth chart is going to go, what the hell? Like, how is this kid getting this many yards, right? You look at that and you say, okay, well, let's focus upon Coy. Well, then we're going to go to, Terrence Carter over at tight end. And he's a big boy, but he's got a lot of agility, right? Okay, that's not working. Okay, you can lock down 2 people. Can you lock down 3? Can you lock down 4? Let's switch it out. Are you getting tired? We're going to bring a couple more guys in. And it's like, this is a consistent concern for the Utah fan base is that while their defense is good, the defensive backs are kind of the concern with them being newer. And yes, he's got a great defensive scheme. But if they are trying to crush one side, like I was mentioning earlier, but the guy that you're trying to keep open is Reggie Davis, it's like, what are we doing? Right? You get bust open for a 60-yard gain. And so there's so much for Utah to be concerned about offensively for Texas Tech, which is really nice. Reggie Virgil.
I'll stay it.
I got there. Reggie Virgil.
I was just about to make fun of you for it.
What year is it, buddy?
Yeah.
Reggie Virgil. See, that's the danger of this Texas Tech team is that there's so many names to remember because there's so many people that can get the ball. Now, offensively for Texas Tech, it no doubt starts and ends with Baron Morton, right? Baron Morton, are you going to have the game that we know that you can have? If you are fully healthy, are you going to have – and here's a lot of criticism and that Utah fans especially have been like leeching onto is like, oh, Baron Morton – like, he didn't run. Like, he's just a throwing quarterback. All he does is throw. And, like, you know what? You may be right. He may not want to run anymore. And I can't blame him. Last time he ran for his life, he blew his ankle.
First of all, heaven forbid our quarterback just throws the ball.
That's exactly right. It's like, wait, what is the concern? If he's one of the best quarterbacks in the nation for, yards thrown, touchdowns, like completion rating, like, what's the concern there? Yeah. If he's doing his job, I think we're golden, buddy. We don't need a quarterback who can run. When we had a quarterback who was running around dancing, like that meant that we were not good offensively. Like we were trying to make it extend.
Yeah,
but if we can,
he was too busy on Broadway. That's the problem. But
that's right. That's right. Well, with Morton, if you can get settled, if you can trust your offensive line, if your offensive line can be trustworthy, I think Baron Morton has to be the guy to make this team go. Because like I said, we can hand it off as much as we want, but Utah wants you to hand the ball off. They want to have that rush defense, right? And they have a lot of really good guys up front to make it happen. I don't trust our offensive line enough to create the holes necessary to make the running game as effective as like a long-term offensive strategy for this game. But if we can get Morton into a space that's comfortable and throwing the ball, and we can pick up multiple different targets, if we can maintain pass presence enough, I mean, that's what's going to be the difference offensively.
So great answer, because I think the answer is likely Baron Morton. I'm gonna pull a Jeremy and do somebody that is a little out of the box. Mac Leftwich is the most important offensive person for this game. We gonna see. I think a lot of us have been really excited to see some of the plays that Mac Leftwich has shown the first 3 weeks. But his play calling hasn't necessarily been any special plays, nothing like crazy. It's just the flow. The flow of the game has been so beautiful to watch. Right? We haven't really seen a flow of an offense like this since Kingsbury, where you were like, okay, yeah, passing at the right time, running at the right time, outside, really mixing it up there. But they've all been pretty simple and basic plays. Nothing out of the norm, right? I think, which is a little refreshing from Kitley last year, which Kitley last year was a lot of out of the norm. It was a lot of fun, fancy, funky plays that sometimes were great, and sometimes were not. And so, but Mac has done the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, with just some positive play calling that's been really valuable, and taking deep shots when it's been like, there's not been a single time in the first 3 games where we were like, oh, come on, Mac, take a deep shot. Or vice versa, we're taking too many deep shots. It's been a healthy balance, pass, run, deep, short. It's been all great. We're really going to see what Mac Leftwich, how he calls games in this game. Yeah. We're really going to – it's easy to be a play caller when you're just going to overpower and beat everybody in the first 3 weeks. Like that's though we've been doing it, like the offense has been humming so well, it's been incredible, right, in the first 3 games. But we're really going to see it. The defense is tough. We're really going to see Mac Leftwich has the best in this one. And I want to see what he does here. I want to see what happens. What happens if the Utah D-line gives you some adversity, right? What happens if our O-line struggles a little bit to pick some stunts up or pick some things up, or Barron's getting hit a couple times? What do you do, Mac Leftwich? Mm-hmm. Right? I'm curious to see what that happens. I think if Mac Leftwich is out coaching the opposition, if he's out coaching the opposition, then
boy howdy.
Boy howdy.
And I think that we've gotten some really cool nuggets. I don't know if you've seen the clip yet of the fake screen to middle screen. Mm-hmm. Of like diverting attention over here, like, hey, we're about to screen it, and then the defense recognizing, picking that up, and kind of moving and adjusting, but the defensive or the offensive line kind of swirling over, and then all of a sudden it's Terrence Carter wide open in the middle.
You know what I love?
That's next level, actually.
You know what I love about that play? About that play is we're going to run the exact same play again a few times this year, but it's not going to go to the same place every time.
No doubt.
That was a play action. That was a play action to a screen to a fake screen to a mid.
The layers. It's like tiramisu.
So you just can't. The crazy thing about it is that's NFL war style. They do that all the time in NFL. They set up certain plays in week 2 and then do it in the wild card game, because they're like, yeah, I know the defensive coordinator looked at all our tape in week 2, and they know what this play is going to be. But guess what, buddy?
Guess what?
Gotcha.
I got you.
And so, so we'll see that play again. I don't know if it'll be this week or later in the year, but we'll see that play again. That was not a play for Oregon State. I'll just say that was not a play for Oregon State. Whatever happened, Mac, we could have been tackled immediately, and Mac would have been satisfied. That was not a play for Oregon State. All right. So flip side, defensively, who's the defensive player that from Texas Tech that needs to ball out?
Oh God. Ball out, man, I'd be honest. I think that Ben Roberts, Jacob Rodriguez, John Curry. Listen, the defensive line is going to be doing a lot of work, right? They got it. What we're going to need is that second level to be ready for Devin Dampier, like skittering, scattering around and getting on the outside. Like, here's for me, my dream world where everything's, rainbow ponies, pooping Skittles, is that Devin Dampier, thinks that he gets outside of the jamming. That he thinks he gets outside of – Albert just typed that up, by the way. He was on top of that. Devin Dampier gets outside of the defensive, line of hell, and then there's just a linebacker right there. right? I think something we did really well last year, as one of DeRuyter's kind of last goodbyes, is that when we had mobile quarterbacks we played against, we held a linebacker as a spy. And it would have been like a spy zone for the most part. Like he's kind of hanging out in the middle, being the zone guy. But when he recognizes there's no receivers or tight ends or anybody kind of scooting out into his area, like just keying up on the quarterback, that kept us in so many games. And you can go back and watch the tape, but that kept us in so many games in terms of like limiting how much yardage. Because the worst thing, the thing that will destroy defenses is if you play the perfect coverage and their quarterback just decides to, I'll just run it and just gets 10, 15. I mean, even if getting 5 yards on average on a scamper, it's like that stuff is demoralizing because you've done everything right and they're still getting yards. Like I need the linebacking core of people to step up. And if I have to pick one, it's Jacob Rodriguez. I think is playing kind of next level right now at his position. I think that Jacob Rodriguez needs to be that guy to go in and just hammer. Hey, Devin, what's going on? Thanks for coming out.
All right, you get because you picked someone, I'll take the Jeremy banner off.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I'll give you a guy that, I'm not going to have been skeptical of him, but I you know me, I'm not just going to say like, oh, this guy's great just because he's new to Texas Tech. Cole Wisniewski.
Oh, what a great pick. Justice Parker. I am so sorry. I just remembered that guy's name. Do you remember Justice Parker? I didn't know
who you were talking about when you were saying
I had the white defensive back. I had to get it out. I'm sorry. Okay.
So I find that hilarious. The second I say Cole Wisniewski, you're like, oh yes, white DB.
Well, we only have so many, right?
Of course. But yeah, no, Cole Wisniewski. Like I think this is the opportunity for him to also kind of stamp himself in this secondary. Devin Dampier hasn't got an interception all year. Last week I said Bryce Pollock. This week I'm saying Cole Wisniewski. Get you your INT. Get you your INT in this game on Devin Dampier. I think it'll be. We mentioned it pre-pod. Devin Dampier likes to zip these bad boys in, but if they get behind, right? I think Utah is actually going to be a really good program when they're ahead. I think when they're ahead, they're going to be very dangerous and going to be tough to come from behind. But if they are behind, we saw it in the last week's game against Wyoming when they weren't necessarily behind, but it was tight in the first half. And we saw it a lot from Devin Dampier last year that when he's behind, he presses. He already, in my opinion, he lacks touch, especially from deep throws. And that'll give you the opportunity, if you're Cole Wisniewski, to kind of drift over to the top there or Brandon Jordan, drift over to the top there and get you one. Get you an INT, get you an interception, and by forcing Devin Dampier to press, right, and make some more of these mistakes. One of the things in the biggest highlight from Devin Dampier last week was him fumbling, going to the side, and zipping that touchdown pass over. And first time I saw it, I was like everybody else. I'm like, man, that is an incredible play from Devin Dampier. That's fantastic. That's awesome. As I've seen it like 20 more times because that's all I seem to be on my timeline. That was a close game at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like him, and mind you, it was a fumble. It wasn't a bad, the first time I saw that was a bad snap. It wasn't a bad snap. Just a straight up fumble. Pressure. Mm-hmm. Pressure bursts. So I think there's going to be some opportunity here to get at Devin Dampier. He's not untouchable in the slightest. So all right. Big game this weekend. Before we get to our big game, there are plenty of other big games in the Big 12 that I am sure you want to listen to us predict. Shout out to the Rice Owls right now, beating the hell out of Charlotte. Always want to shout out Rice. I've been to more Rice games than like the average Rice graduate. So
more Rice games than Houston games, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, my younger sister went there, so shout out to her. All right. So starting off Friday night, we're gonna do these pretty quickly because we're already kind of running behind. Tulsa, Oklahoma State. Can Oklahoma State finally win a game?
I love that the Tulsa, like the minimal Tulsa fan base, is talking so much junk online because they're like, "You're garbage." So
this might be Tulsa's only chance at really beat. I don't know if Oklahoma State can get how many times Oklahoma State is going to actually get an FBS win this year. So
I don't know. Like I like my heart says Tulsa. I know the line says Oklahoma State 11.5. My heart
says Oklahoma State, but Tulsa's not a good team. It's not like one of those.
As if Oklahoma State is.
Yeah, but like some years Tulsa is actually a pretty good G5 team or G6 now. I don't know. G5 team. This is not one of those years. They've lost to New Mexico State. They lost to Navy. Like this is not a good team either. But
yeah, that's true. I still have Tulsa with the edge.
Tulsa. I'm gonna go Okie State. State. I don't really care. To be honest, I don't think Oklahoma State covers. I will say that. I don't think they cover. All right. Noon Eastern, the Iron Skillet. SMU, TCU, your favorite rich white uncle's alma mater, and you don't even know which school I'm talking about when I say that. TCU, surprisingly, a 6.5-point favorite in this game. Who you got?
It's surprising to you? I don't know. Hey, give me the Big 12. Big 12's undefeated against SMU.
SMU was just ranked like a week ago.
After they lost to Baylor, right?
Yeah.
Give me TCU.
All right, TCU. You're going TCU at home. This is interesting because I would have definitely picked SMU like 2 weeks ago. I do not believe in TCU just yet. Now, I'm not saying that SMU is a good team either, but I do not believe in TCU just yet. I'm going SMU for now. TCU's right on the outside of the lounge. This win might get them in the lounge, but I'm going SMU for now because I got to see a little bit more from TCU. I know they beat North Carolina, but North Carolina might suck, and we're going to really find out if North Carolina sucks because they play UCF at 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central this weekend in the Bounce House. Who you got?
Oh, UCF hasn't lost this year. North Carolina has.
Lost by a lot.
That's right. To who? TCU. Another Big 12 team. I mean, I want to believe it's an afternoon game, not that crazy in the Bounce House, but I want to believe that UCF's gonna. I don't know. Is Bill Belichick a good coach or not? So let me have UCF for this one.
I'm going North Carolina. I'm going North Carolina. Yeah, I'm going North Carolina. Another game where I'm kind of surprised UCF's a 7.5-point favorite. UCF almost lost to Jacksonville State. I don't think they're a good team. I'm not saying that North Carolina is, but I think that North Carolina the last 2 games has actually looked like there's somewhat – I know bad teams, whatever. But it looks like they're at least getting their stride a little bit, and I think this will be an opportunity for them to get back on the wagon. So I'm going North Carolina. Big 12 game, West Virginia at Kansas, both 2-1. Kansas 12.5-point favorites, despite West Virginia just winning a big game last weekend. Who you got?
Big game for West Virginia against Pitt. Big rivalry game. Not the same energy here against Kansas. I don't care if it's in Morgantown or if it's in Lawrence. I like Kansas to win this one. Jalen Daniels is just a much better quarterback, and I think that Kansas is a more complete team than West Virginia. I don't know if West Virginia is going to get up for this one. It's 5 p.m., but you know what I'm
saying. Who was Kansas's one loss to?
That's a good question.
It was Missouri.
That's right.
Do you know who West Virginia's one loss was to?
Missouri?
No, it was to Ohio.
Then why are we talking
Give me Kansas.
That's funny.
A loss to Missouri is much more respectable.
I forgot about that Ohio game. I blacked that Ohio game out.
As you should have.
Sorry about that.
As you should have. BYU on the road at East Carolina. Can BYU keep the good times going?
This one, the fact that we're playing Utah has brought me into so much BYU hate from the Utah fans because it's just popping up on the feed now. I've seen so many good ECU memes popping up now. Oh, it's such a win. BYU obviously is going to clear East Carolina. I think that the spread of 6.5 is pretty low, even in North Carolina. It is a road game, but I do think BYU gets out of there with at least a 2 touchdown victory.
2 touchdowns. So I will say, to your point, there's been so many tweets that have been anti-Utah this week that I'm like, oh man, who's this funny Texas Tech person? Oh, it's a BYU person. Unexpected. All right.
That's right. This is the closest we've ever been to the BYU fan base because they're just like,
absolutely.
Oh, you're dumping on Utah? Guess what?
Guess what? Guess what? They pulled the chair. Yeah. So what's interesting about this BYU team is if it wasn't for the whole Jake Retzlaff thing in the offseason, we would actually have BYU they'd be comfortably in the line. They'd be one of the top teams we have this season. The whole thing is that I think everybody recognized Bear Bachmeier as possibly the worst quarterback in the Big 12, right? I mean, not his fault. He's a true freshman. Like, it's not his fault that we view him that way, but we view him that way. And so, it's going to be interesting to see how good can BYU be without quarterback play. I mean, Utah tried to do it last year and it didn't work. So it'll be interesting to see. I do think they win this week at East Carolina. They've had 2 good wins against Portland State, against Stanford. Their defense, I think, is legit. And their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. I do think they're going to be better than people expected them to be. I just eventually going to have a quarterback. So that's the only thing there. All right. Arizona State at Baylor, probably, if not for the Tech-Utah game, would have been the game of the week in the Big 12. Also, another game with a lot of Big 12 championship implications, if you ask me. All right, 2 teams that were favored, or 2 of the contenders and favorites to win the Big 12. Baylor, 2.5-point favorites as they come into this game.
Yeah, I think that, Sawyer Robinson is the real deal, but he's gotten a little flack for the way they played Samford and, throwing 2 interceptions. He hadn't thrown any, all season, but still a tremendous quarterback, obviously appealing to a lot of Heisman conversations. I do like, in this scenario, I like Baylor at home. I know I said that earlier this year when they played Auburn, and that didn't work out too well for them. I do blame the refs a little bit for that one. But I think Arizona State on the road, they haven't proven themselves enough for me to go, yeah, they'll probably win. They have a good chance to win there. Although the line is under 3. So bettors are kind of thinking Arizona State's got a little bit of a talent edge here. Yeah. I don't know. Over under 59.5, so pretty big.
Do you remember who Baylor lost to?
Auburn.
Do you remember who Arizona State lost to?
I don't.
How do you forget who Arizona State lost to?
Please, just say it.
Mississippi State.
Oh my God, that's why. Because
you of all people.
Once the thing I've blacked out my time at Stark Vegas. That's right.
I think got Mississippi State on it. You just block it off entirely. Auburn's better than Mississippi State. Yeah, Auburn's better than Mississippi State, so I got Baylor winning this one as well. So, and then to cap it off the night, Wyoming at Colorado. Colorado 13.5-point favorites, but 2 L's for the Buffs.
2 L's, man. 2 big L's. That spread is ridiculous. That spread is egregious. And the only reason it's that big, I think, is because Wyoming lost the way they did in the second half against Utah. Probably equally talented teams. If you look at kind of how it looks, if Wyoming comes out swinging in the first half the way they did against Utah, Colorado's toast, man. Colorado is toast. I don't know, because Colorado's still doing this kind of like carousel of quarterback. They're like, hey, you know what? We're actually going to go back to the guy that we took the job from. No hard feelings. Go back out there and kind of do your thing. I give Wyoming the edge here just because they've set their depth chart and they know who they are. So that always
going Wyoming.
If it is Wyoming, it's a short. It's not a big blowout. Like I would say, maybe a late touchdown or a field goal to seal it. Something kind of foolish like that. But I don't have faith in this Colorado team. They don't even know who they are, man.
Yeah, so Caden Salter is going back to be the starting quarterback in this game, and one of 2 things is going to happen. Either Caden Salter is going to ball out and turn up and basically make Coach Prime in the offense look foolish for ever benching him in the first place, or we are all going to see why he was benched in the first place. One of the 2. I actually do think Colorado has a talent edge here overall, and because it's at home in Colorado. If this was in Wyoming, I would agree with you. It was in Laramie. I don't think Colorado has the fortitude to be able to handle that. But it being in Boulder, I'm going to give Colorado the edge. I think Colorado wins it. And so All that being said, game of the week. I know I say this every week, but this time I actually legitimately game of the week in the Big 12, game of the week in the nation. 17th ranked Texas Tech at 16th ranked Utah. Utah 3.5-point favorites in this game. Actually, the line's even moved a little bit. 2.5-point favorites now. Texas Tech 6-4 against the spread in our last 10. All right, Utah 4-6 in their last 10 against spread in their last 10. Texas Tech and Utah have only played each other 2 times in their history. Way back when, in 1972, these two teams decided, hey, it is time for us to play in Lubbock, Texas, right? And what happened? Texas Tech beat the Utes 45-2. You got that one safety. Shout out to them. And then the next year, the following year, back in Lubbock, Texas, they were like, hey, man, we want a rematch. We didn't like the way you beat us 45-2, and I guarantee you we're going to play better in the second game. And they did. Exactly a year later, they did play better in the second game and still lost 29-22. So Texas Tech's undefeated against the Utes, right? We also haven't played them in 50 years. So there's that, all right? Big piece here. I think as these two teams match up, Texas Tech obviously has the yardage advantage over Texas. Definitely has the yard advantage when it comes to the amount of offense points they have versus the Utah defense. But the Utah defense has the rushing advantage. They can defend the run like better than the best of them, right? When it comes to passing defense, they also, shockingly enough, though their rushing defense is really good, their passing defense has been good this year as well. However, QB rating, QB yards per attempt, averages, all go to the good guys over at Texas Tech. All right. Flip side of things, our defense wins almost every metric. Right now, we have done a great job. But obviously, Texas Tech has not played anybody. Jeremy, I must say, leading up to this game, one thing I have really enjoyed, for the last year and a half, I didn't know if Utah fit the Big 12. I didn't know if their fans and their culture fit the Big 12. It looked like for a long time it didn't. I can unequivocally say now, Utah, nice to meet you. Glad to have you. Their fans have been great this week. It has been so much fun on social media. They talk. So I will always respect a large crap talking fan base ahead of the game. I will always respect it, right? No matter what happens, whoever wins, obviously the winning team will go back and bench to the benchmarks, all the trash talk they've had this week, and have a big whole heap of I told you so. Whoever wins. But that's not fun. That's not respectful if you don't talk trash beforehand. I love it. I've loved this everything about the Utah fan base leading up to this week. I think they have been great and incredible. It's not about them being nice. I actually don't want them to be nice. That's gross. I want them to be the crappy people we've seen them to be. And I know I said this pre-pod, and I know it seemed blasphemous, but to me, Utah is like Texas Tech if we actually had a winning program the last 15 years, right? How we act in basketball is how I've seen the Utah fans act in football, because outside of last year, they have been a winning program for the past 10, 15 years. It's been great. It's been absolutely
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And Jeremy, you've been caught into a lot of it.
How do you mean?
No, you've been talking your mess on the main account.
Oh, that is correct.
Talking it back to you.
That is correct. I am not afraid to talk a little bit of smack. Finding out that Ted Bundy went to Utah was kind of a deal breaker for me in terms of any friendliness I have at that university. But this
Ted Bundy went there.
That's right. Ted Bundy went to Utah.
Okay.
4 months. Then he didn't want to attend anymore, and then he just started killing people. So it's your fault.
Oh, yeah, that's what going to Utah will do for you.
It's your fault. So this has become such a big game, and it's so exciting, and I love it. I think that this is going to be. I hope I was telling another Utah fan, and the thing for me is like Utah fans have either been really great to chat with or really shitty to chat with. Texas Tech doesn't even run the ball. I'm like, you are literally not even trying. Like, you're not even trying to look at stats and nothing like that. You're like, when's the last time Texas Tech won a championship? That's right, never. When's the last time you won a conference championship? I'm like, yeah, you can. You're new here, buddy. You can't hurt me. You know who we had to put up with before you guys got here. I'm fine. But yeah, I think that there's no way around it. It's one of the best football games in the nation this week. And so I hope that this does become a classic. And I hope that ESPN feels a little bad of like, damn, we should have went to that game. Because
at this point, screw ESPN. We are a Fox and
TNT.
And Turner Sports. Fox and Turner Sports. Those are buddies. Sports.
That's right, dude. Oh yeah, so true. So are you wanting my prediction now?
Absolutely.
Hey, let me tell you, I think that Texas Tech will win this game. I do. The more I've looked at Utah on tape, and I'm not saying Utah's a bad team. The more I've looked at Utah on tape, the more I've kind of compared our non-conference games. I just feel like Texas Tech has been more convincing through as many quarters as it's played its ones compared to as many quarters as the Utah Utes have had played their ones. I and that could be a detriment. Like, hey, our defense hasn't played a full game yet. Are they conditioned for that? Will they be able to last in the fourth quarter? We will find out. This whole game is a bunch of we will find out because nobody knows either way, right? But I do think I give the edge to Texas Tech offensively, especially. Everybody's doubting the defense on the Utah side because, like, Texas Tech, they suck ass at defense. They're never going to do nothing, right? I get that, especially when their own players are saying as much. Offensively, though, I don't think people are respecting as much talent as we've got across the board offensively of like, yeah, okay, shut down Coy, can shut down Reggie Virgil. We still got a bunch of guys after that. And we've got a 5-star sitting down further on the roster. It's like, I don't think people really appreciate the genius of Mac Leftwich, and I don't think people are appreciating the depth that we have in the skill positions. And I don't think people are appreciating the depth we have at quarterback. Yes, Baron Morton is a tremendous QB1. If he goes down for whatever reason, Will Hammond's got wheels that you have not trained for, like you have not practiced for, right? And so there's so many different ways that this can look. And I like Joey McGuire right now. I think it's at the top of his game. I think he's been able to motivate these guys in a way that, he's had his own guys, but to bring transfer people in, have them buy in on the program and play at the level that they're playing is next level for me. I think he's taken a different step in his head coaching kind of ability. Now, let's see how he gets kind of late game against Utah, if he does any weird, dumb choices. But I do feel good about this game. I feel that this is like one of those weird, and I had the same feeling last year when we played Cincinnati, when I was saying, hey, this is probably one of the late field goal games where we get it, and we get to go home happy. This is kind of the same way I feel about this Utah game. I think that this is going to be knockdown, drag out. And I do think Texas Tech maybe have the edge by the half. And that's all you're going to need, because then Utah has to change their whole pedagogy, their whole coaching. Like, we can't just run first. We're going to have to start passing. And so that's right. So if we play our game and we're able to get out ahead, advantage Texas Tech. So for me, I think Texas Tech can probably win this game. 38-35 or something goofy like that. Yeah.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about, Jeremy. All right. Texas Tech winning this game would be huge. It would be absolutely huge. Get the opportunity to go. It would really lead us. We'd be the favorites in the Big 12, I would say, especially since our schedule's pretty dang easy. Not going to lie to you. I love it, especially the more that Kansas State looks terrible. Their schedule just gets that much easier. So, yeah, I absolutely love it. And I think everything you said is right. It also allows us to what? Stack effing success.
That's right. You heard it, Kansas State fans. Stack your success.
Stack success. We've been stacking success all season so far. And I think Texas Tech's really look good. I think this is the opportunity for Baron Morton to prove himself on the big stage. It's the opportunity for our entire team to prove ourselves on the big stage. Dylan, shout out to Dylan Smythe, asked the question of whether or not this is the biggest game since 08. I think that's a bit crazy. But I would argue last year's Colorado game leading up to it was bigger. But it does show how amped and excited both Texas Tech and Utah fans are for this game, right? It is a huge game because, like I said, the winner is the leader in the clubhouse to potentially win the Big 12. Or at least get to Arlington. We'll have the inside track to Arlington. It is an incredible thing, and I'm so glad for Texas Tech to be in this situation, in this scenario. As I thought about this game, and Jeremy actually gave you my prediction already. You probably didn't notice it. As I thought about this game, I looked at it and I said, Texas. I do think I'm a big Bear Moore supporter. I do think he is a talented guy. He's starting to get on a lot of these things, these accolades. He's on like RG3's Heisman watch. He's actually fifth this week. I saw it earlier today. Mm-hmm. He's starting to get the accolades that he deserves. We have the weapons. We have the receivers. Reggie Virgil, Caleb Douglas, Cowboy Koikin, Terrence Carter, John Carlos Miller, Micah Hudson, Jacoby Williams. We have a good O-line. Our D-line is amazing, right? Linebackers are great. So I look at this and I say this is probably the best, most talented Texas Tech team since 2009. So I look at this team and I say this team has the goods, like legitimately has the goods. Could this team go undefeated? No, we're not going undefeated. And you know what? At the beginning of the year, I picked Utah to beat us. And I think I'm keeping it. Utah 31-28 to win this game. I listen, I don't think any team in the Big 12 is going undefeated. And so can Texas Tech win this game? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying that, we ain't going to lose it. We ain't going to win this game. I absolutely think we can win this game. I think we do win this game. I saw an Oklahoma State fan say if Texas Tech blows out Utah, everyone should be scared. And you should be. Texas Tech blows out Utah. Let me tell you something. I will retract what I just said. We're going undefeated.
If we got 2 touchdowns, buddy, we're
going undefeated. We're going undefeated. I'm buying the tickets to me and Jeremy were talking about how the Duke game in New York lines up with the first round of CFP. We blow out Utah. Forget the first round of CFP. We go into the quarters, baby.
That's right.
But I gotta see it to believe it. I may be the only one left. I still don't trust Joey McGuire's coaching staff. We still don't know what Mac Leftwich really looks like in this setting. We still don't know what Shea Wolf would look like in this setting. Maybe I've been hurt too many times, but I have been hurt too many times. I need to see it before I believe it. And so I want to see it here. Do I believe Tech can do it? Yes. Do I believe they will do it? We'll see. So I am going to pick Utah to win this game, 31-28. Last year, Optimistic Joe won our pick'em.
That's right.
So is this the year for Optimistic Jeremy? Possibly.
I don't know about Optimistic Jeremy, but we'll see.
We'll see. You're at least optimistic in this game. Texas Tech wins. I think we both picked a field goal game. So if you did bet Tech to cover at 3.5, you're going to win either way. If you bet it at 2.5, you better hope Jeremy's correct. But either way, yeah, close game. I also don't believe in betting 2.5, 1.5. Just bet money line. If you're taking the underdog and they're 2.5-point favorites, just bet money line. You're going to get more money that way. There's no point in betting them to cover. Like, they're not going to win by 2 or 1. I mean, they could, but no, come on. Anyways, yeah. So Texas Tech, I got us losing, but I hope I'm wrong. I was wrong a couple times last year, so nothing wrong with that. Jeremy, anything else you want to say to the people?
Not a thing. Hour and 20 minutes. I think we said enough about this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's the game. I know we always try to keep it under an hour, but it's the game. Yeah, some games, we gonna talk. We're gonna talk a little bit, and y'all gonna listen because it's a big game, right? This may be a time when you're like, you know what? I'll be in Jeremy went over an hour, but sorry, boss, I got to take an hour 20 break this week because big game.
It's the game. Big game.
Big game. So. What I do hope is, hypothetically speaking, if Texas Tech was to lose this game, as long as they don't get blown out, I don't mean the season's. I can already see the headlines, right? Or not even the headlines. I don't care about the headlines. I care about the fan base of this, that, and the other. Let's just be.
Pink Raider tweet will come out.
Yeah, and honestly, in both directions. Like it's still only week 4, but no matter what happens this week, Arlington's still there. It's still there to win and there to lose. So. For Jeremy Gillen, the People's Champ, this is your boy, I'll be Short, and you've been listening to the Tortillas and Takes podcast, part of the 1012 Network. As always, stay wrecked, people. Wreck Utah.